Oh, hello there, how are you all doing? I've been having a strange time online lately. Speaking to people I don't normally speak to. Or I wouldn't normally speak to, should I say. By that I mean certain types of people. Or what I perceive as certain types of people anyway. And I started to notice something. See, there's a lot of people that claim that they're awake and in tune with everything that's going on. They know what the score is. And in some respects, yeah, they're quite in touch. Impressed me a little bit. But then, all of a sudden, I realised that actually they're not that awake at all. Everyone knows about all this deception that goes on here. All of us in our little sort of neck of the woods. Oh yeah, we know about the deception, blah 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 blah. And then when it gets to the meat and bones of it, and the actual root cause, all of a sudden it's the Jews. It's the Jews. It's the Jews. It's Jewish deception. Really? You think the thing that is baffling me is that this whole Israel-Gaza thing, as I've mentioned countless times before, is a huge whopping deception. And you can see this, I've tried explaining this in many different ways, right? So, I'm going to do this from a purely historical basis, yeah? Because if you're pro-Palestine, you should know what you're being pro for, really, shouldn't you? Yeah, I think we all agree on that. So here goes. Since before 1967 officially, but okay, we could go as far back as maybe 1948, yeah. There has never, not ever, been a nation state of Palestine. It's never existed. Now, most of you will turn around and go, but yeah, it does. There's always been a Palestinian state. Well, no, there hasn't. No, there hasn't. When has there been a Palestinian state? Eh? When has there been a nation of Palestine? Before the British Mandate, yeah? Because it was under British rule then, so it weren't a nation state then. It was just a mandated piece of land that we were caretaker of. Was Brits from I think 1917, 1918. So before then, obviously, but it was under Ottoman rule. It was under part of the Ottoman Empire. So it again wasn't a nation state then either. In fact, nowhere around there was a nation state. Most of the nations around that area didn't exist until Israel started existing, pretty much, believe it or not. So okay, wasn't then, yeah. So what about before Ottoman rule? Well, before Ottoman rule, it was Persia. For a good 1,000 years, 1,500 years, and there was no Palestine then either. No nation state of Palestine. So what about before then? Well, no, before then it was under Roman rule. Ruled over by the Romans, who were constantly at war with the Jews in that area. So before Rome, then no, not even then. Before Rome, it was Judea, Galilee, and Samaria, I think. Okay, so it still wasn't Palestine then either. What about before then? Well, before then it was under Babylonian rule, so not then either. Assyrian rule, so not then either. Sumerian rule, so not then either. And before that it was Canaan and Egypt, under Egyptian. You know, come to think of it, it's never been a nation, like I said, ever. It's never once been a nation of Palestine. Now most people will turn around and go, but it's on all maps, I see Palestine on all maps. No. What you see is Palestina. And if they do say Palestine, it's an Anglicized version of Palestina. You must have said so. So what? Well, let's carry on. Let's talk about the Palestinian people, shall we? Because Palestinians didn't exist either before that time. Before 1948, at the very earliest. But it was, of course it did, there was Arabs living in the land. Yes, there were. But where were these Arabs from? What did they identify as? Well, now we've got to go and look at the areas of Israel that, what is now Israel, should I say, where these Arabs lived and came from. Because if they lived in the south, they classed themselves as Egyptian. If they lived in the west, they classed themselves as Jordanese. If they lived in the north, they were either Syrian or Lebanese. They only decided on the national name of Palestinian in 1948. I hear you saying, but that can't be right. Oh yes it can. Oh yes it can. You see, for a long time, before it was Israel, Jews have always been there. Now most of you will turn around and go, but we're all Ashkenazi. No, they're not. No, they're not. You could say we're the Eastern European Jews, but they're not the Jews I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the Sephardic and the Mizrahi Jews that everyone seems to forget about when talking about Israel and saying that Jews haven't always been there and never had a claim to the land. Mizrahi and Sephardic Jews have always been there. Always have. So to claim that they never have is quite simply wrong. And even worse, disingenuous, and I dare say quite a few people out there making videos about the Palestinian conflict and saying that there was never any Jews there are saying that maliciously. Now, I'm not Jewish, yeah? I'm not paid by Jews, I'm not paid by Israel before anyone decides they're going to throw that my way. I don't like bullshit. And when I see bullshit, I'll call it out. We are being played massively, not by Jews, right? I have said this countless times. It's by our own intel services, or rather arms within our own intel services that are using Islam or communism to essentially take over governments. And they're becoming very successful at the moment. They're doing a damn good job because no one's paying a fucking attention. They're too busy looking at Israel, looking at Jews. You see, one final nail in the coffin about this whole sorry business about who has a stake or a legitimate claim to the land. The actual fucking nail, that final nail, comes from the etymology of the word Palestinian itself. You people are fucking morons. Get your head out your asses. We haven't got a lot of time left. And arguing over who's got a legitimate claim to the land, they're saying, well, the Palestinians have a claim to the land. Yeah, they do, yeah. Because the Palestinians are the fucking Jews, you idiot. Anyway, I'll see you later.